Hello, I'm Bernie Hayes. Today's program will be all about the African diaspora today on The Bernie Hayes Show. Welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes, and we're going to talk about the African diaspora. And with us today is Michael Kodjo Anani. He's the president and CEO of the African Diaspora Council, and also Roya Animashaun, the board treasurer of the African Diaspora Council. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
The African Diaspora Council, what is that?
It's a not-for-profit organization that focus on uniting the African descent and African American. Anyone with a genuine heart want to promote development in the Black community. That's what the organization is focusing on.
You know, a lot of the Afrocentrists and progressives talk about the African diaspora. What is that precisely? I see it says here, the diaspora of any people from their original homeland. For African Diaspora Council, it is composed of anyone who is African or claims African heritage, including African Americans whose ancestors were involved in the diaspora, and anyone who has general concern for learning about Africa. And I assume this includes the people who look like us in Peru, in South America.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. African Diaspora Council, as we define it on our website, is anyone who is living outside his country of origin. So we have a statement saying no one is left behind. So we extend it to African American, friends of Africa. So the African diaspora, if you look at it really, it extends to America, South America, Asia, Europe. So all of us, we are in a diaspora today. We left the continent and we are in a diaspora today. So our movement or our organization focus on how we can unite all of us as a one body to tackle the challenges that is facing our community.
Okay. What is your home?
My home originally is Togo, West Africa.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm here in the United States for 32 years now.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And doing what we have to do to unite all of us to bridge the gap.
Right. Mr. Animashaun, where is your home? Where are you from?
Well, originally, I'm from West Africa, Nigeria.
Nigeria?
Yes, and I've been here for 28 years now.
You've been here 32, you've been here 28. How do you compare the Africans in this country to your homeland, each of you? Have we lost something? Are we blind? Are we ignorant?
Okay, great question. First of all, we always say to people that regardless of when we all came here, either through slavery or even when we arrived today, we are all like one tree with several branches spread all over the world. But still, we are still connected to our roots, Mother Africa. To really dive into your question, you as an African American and I as an African coming from the West Africa or from African continent, if both of us should walk out of this room, the first thing people will see is the skin color.
Sure.
So that is our common ground. So there should not be a reason for us to focus on what divides us. However, in what form, shape that might have come, we have to focus on what unites us, and that's the only way we can actually win the challenges that is facing us. Unity is power. There is nothing really. The only difference is that our African American brothers and sisters were ripped of the culture.
Yeah.
And
Unity is power.
And that is the only thing. And it is impossible to take everybody to Africa. But one of the goals of the African Diaspora Council is to bring Africa to everybody in the diaspora so that we can educate people about who we are as a black people.
Mr. Anani, did you suffer culture shock when you came here from Africa?
Exactly. Coming here, what we saw on the TV, the Americans that we saw on the TV before coming here, very excited. And when you land in America, one of the airport, and you go closer to African American, the first thing you see is culture shock. That's sometimes people like me, African, we try to reserve ourselves a little bit before we move forward. But those are our people, and we do things differently. When we coming closer to them, is like their behavior versus our behavior, which is our culture, respect, we give all.
Yes, sir.
But in the other side, we think that there's no culture. We realize immediately like the culture fade away totally, but that is the American culture they have here.
Right.
So with the time, you know that, it is just, that's the way they take all the culture out of them so that they can raise them the way they want to raise them, because they were not independent at the beginning. So from that time to our time, we are also facing different challenges back home, which is colonization. So and that creates a division, big division between us coming here versus those who paved the way for us to come here, which is African American. So it takes a lot of time, and we are all in the same situation, the same difficulties, the same challenges. So we coming here, really, what we saw before coming here is to come and add to the number of our people here to tackle the problem that they have here together, to fight the fight, not fight, but to solve the problem that we're facing the black community in general. And that's why with the time, finally, we are here today to use this organization to spread the word that it's time to unite all of us and solve the problem that is facing our community. Because if you look at our children today, I have 2 children born in this country and 2 children born back home. And if I look at them in my kitchen, I see that the culture really that we have back home is not here. People lost their identity and they're embracing anything that they see on the street. So we are here. That's the reason why the main mission of the organization is to have our cultural center to preserve who we are and what black people are made of, to educate the host community and the world that who we are really and what black people are made of.
Well, I noticed that on your brochure, Bob, I guess we can see the brochure now, it says our mission. And it says the African Diaspora Council empowers marginalized communities of African descent to prosper. We counsel and guide our neighbors in times of need. We promote a shared understanding of our rich African cultural heritage, and we connect those who we serve to the resources they need to thrive. That's a wonderful mission, and you have a vision. Tell us about that vision that you have. It says individuals of African descent have the opportunity to achieve economic prosperity while preserving a rich cultural identity. So there's some things in the works that's going to help all the African people. Tell us about it.
It's a history that for our organization.
Yes,
and just I'm going to make it brief, and maybe next time we'll come back and if people have a question, they can ask. It all started from the classroom in New York, in Morrow College, where the question was, why poverty is a chronic disease in your community, and we just living it like as if everything is fine. And the question says, how do you solve that problem sustainably? So after 5 years of research, we found out that trust is our problem.
Okay, let me break it into just for a second. I got to make a break, okay?
Okay.
But I'll be back, because please hold that point. There's so much we want to talk about. And we'll be talking about Reverend Larry Rice and the New Life Evangelistic Center, our new address at 2428 Woodson Road in Overhead, Missouri. We'll be back with our guests after this.
What a privilege it is to air the Bernie Hayes program right here on 24/2, also seen on NLEC TV, the app that you can get through your Google store where you can take NLEC TV anywhere and everywhere and see the Bernie Hayes Show and many other programs. Now, there are many of you, like me, that find ourselves under pressure. I've experienced a lot of pressure during the past few years, but there's certain principles that I've discovered in the Word of God that allows me to undergo those pressures and continue to move forward. I think of the USS Thresher in the early 1960s. I went down so deep in the ocean east of Cape Cod that it just literally exploded. 129 men died. And as they researched that, they found there were fish that were able to swim down there in the middle of that pressure. Why? Because they had more strength and pressure on the inside of them than the pressure was coming from outside. And that's why you and I have to get in the Word of God daily. And as James chapter 1 says, count it all joy. And we see how they did that in Acts chapter 5, the end of that book, where the disciples were under pressure. But what did they say? We're going to obey God rather than men. And they continued to trust God. Even when they were beaten, they counted it all joy, and they're more determined than ever before. And then you go to 1 Peter chapter 1, where it speaks of your faith is more precious than gold. And as gold goes through fire, you may be going through some real hard times at this moment, not knowing how to pay the next bill. I know what that's like, brothers and sisters. Experiencing oppression, injustice. Continue to trust God. For greater is He who's in you than he that's in the world. Don't give up. Don't give in. Give it to God and continue to remain steadfast and movable, abounding in the Word of God. Let the Word get down deep inside of you. It's going to give you that strength. Be like that fish way down deep in the ocean that's going to resist all the pressures of being deep. And you're going to be more than a conqueror through Christ who strengthens you. Yes, let's believe God and do those great things He's calling us to do.
Welcome back. My guests are Michael Kodjo Anani and also Roya Anani-Shaun. And I'm trying to pronounce the names correctly. You know, I just wish I had more involvement in with African people and African traditions and learn more about our culture. But that's precisely what you're doing, the African Diaspora Council. Right. So once again, it says your vision, a world in which individuals of African descent have the opportunity to achieve economic prosperity while preserving their rich cultural identity. How are you going to help us preserve that economic prosperity?
So, like I said earlier, we found out that the trust is our problem. So to solve that trust issue, after 5 years of research, we come with two main goals of the organization. Mm-hmm. The first thing is to have a platform where we can sit and have a dialogue and have a conversation day to day. Okay. And then started trusting each other because I know you. Mm-hmm. I can invite you for lunch and all. So we start trusting each other. And if we start trusting each other, then we can put our pennies together to develop ourselves as a business. So the first platform that we sit down and having a conversation is a community center. And then we named that community center to be our first African cultural center in the world.
Wow.
So we have 7.2 acres in Missouri, Pagedale, to have that cultural center to preserve our culture and to educate people who we really are and what we are made of.
Ms. Anani-Shaun, you were very excited about this project. Tell us about your feelings about it.
Well, as a mother of 4 children, mm-hmm. African-American children born here, I think it's a great idea to actually connect, for them to be able to connect back to their heritage. So the first goal of the Cultural Center will showcase and educate and preserve the culture, the African culture here in the diaspora, just the same way the Jewish culture is being preserved. Certainly. We want to be able to preserve our culture. So everything other than what is portrayed on the media or on the TV, we want to give them the real African face and the picture and the image of Africa. That's number one. Number two, money is power. the credit union idea, initiative by this organization is a plus. I, as an accountant and a financial analyst, I have seen a lot of people being given up on life just because of their FICO score. They couldn't do anything. So what this credit union is going to do is to empower our community, especially to support brilliant ideas. For example, there will be a program called the Payday Loan Rescue. There will be a financial literacy classes. There will be, when we give you a loan, we give you a support to succeed. Wow. So those are the things, unique services, uniquely designed for this community, for us to be able, because let me tell you something, I don't care how brilliantly written is your business plan. If you don't have the capital to carry it out, it might as well try.
It takes money to do it.
It takes money. As much as we don't like to talk about money, nothing gets done without money. So what is missing in the Black community, why we are still struggling, is the fact that we do not have the economic power to sit across the table. And it's a numbers game. Why is it a numbers game? Can you imagine the Africans and the African American, all the Black people coming together in the diaspora? That would be powerful. And mind you, that is one thing that has never happened. So now we have to take a turn and do it differently, because doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, is insanity, they call it.
It's their failure.
Exactly. So we already have that hole. We need to close that hole of division among us, because that's where the enemy penetrates. Thank you.
I understand there's an African Celebration Day coming. It's Africa Celebration Day, leveraging the power of a united African diaspora. And that's going to be taking place when? On May 25th, I understand.
Yes.
Tell us about what is that going to be about?
Very good. Before I get to that question, let me add something to what Roya just said. Okay. When we said community, our community, we're talking about all of us. Mm-hmm. All of us, African American, anyone, the way we define the diaspora, African American, and anyone with a genuine heart who want to help promote development in our community is a part of our community. Sure. So that's why we're talking about the community. So no one is excluded. Okay. So
that is
inclusive.
Yes, all of us.
All inclusive.
Yes. Okay. So that's our focus. And the celebration of the Africa Day is so-called liberation of African continent. The beginning, the history of African Day, it comes from African Union. African Union is started when Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana was saying that independence of Ghana is not complete till African continent is independent. And he's focused on that unity of African president to come as a one people to unite themselves and develop the continent. So doing, the organization continue growing, and people are joining it, the different countries are joining it, and finally, to celebrate the independence of the continent as a liberation, instead of people celebrating their individual independence in their country, they all unite together to celebrate liberation of the continent. Okay. So that is what we commemorating on the 25th of May.
We have a great keynote speaker there, I understand, who's associated with the International Institute of St. Louis. So who will be a speaker?
Okay, the keynote speaker is R.A. Obensin, the president and CEO of the International Institute. We are very honored to have International Institute partner with the African Diaspora Council.
Okay, let me ask you this. It's going to be May 25th, right?
It's May 25th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
And where will it be held?
It's going to be at our future home, which is our headquarters today, 1425 Ferguson Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri, 63133.
Actually, is it in Ferguson, Missouri?
No, it's in Pagedale.
It's in Pagedale.
Yeah, but it's
on
Ferguson
Ferguson Avenue.
Yes.
Sure, okay, so 1425 Ferguson in Pagedale.
In Pagedale,
Is there a cost to attend this event?
This event is free. It's a panel discussion. This is the first Africa Day that we're hosting, celebrating here in St. Louis. Is to spark conversation. Is to spark conversation on how we're going to bridge the gap and agree on how to celebrate this day going forward. Okay. And also, we're going to be bringing in our Juneteenth after that in June. We'll talk. We'll let you know.
Who are the panelists so far?
Well, we have 4 panelists. Mm-hmm. Of course, the host, Mr. Michael Kodjo Anani. Yes, we have Mrs. Modupe Orebiyi, one of our advisory board member, a strong believer in this vision. And we do have Linda Ogbofans, the president of African Chamber of Commerce. And we have Yemi Akonde, the Focus St. Louis, will be present there.
Okay. This is wonderful. It's going to be Africa Day celebration, May 25th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Limited seating for first come, first served, but it's absolutely free.
It's free.
This is wonderful. It's going to be May 25th. We're going to take another short break here and talk about the New Life Evangelistic Center. But we'll be right back with our guests after this.
These are very difficult times, and so many people are giving up. I want you to experience hope in the midst of God's cathedral of creation. And that's why I have a free book that I want to send you. It said hope can begin to flow in your life. And you'll be encouraged to go out in the middle of creation and hear the birds and the trees and all of creation speak hope to you. Now I'll send this to you absolutely free of charge. All you have to do is just write me Larry Rice at P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. That's 63166. Or you can call 314-421-302 and request your free copy of Experiencing Hope in God's Creation. We need hope right now. And hope is just right there, ready to fill you. You may be in a dark, dirty, lonely place at this moment. I have a whole chapter on that, how seeds are planted there and how they sprout. That and much more, right here. Just write me at P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. That's 63166, and receive your free copy.
Today we'll be talking about braids, which is a rite of passage for many black women in America. The discovery of ancient stone paintings depicting women with cornrows in North Africa shows that braids date back thousands of years. In the earliest known forms on the continent, the styles had a duality of purpose. Not only did they uphold societal customs, but they also were fashionable. A specific look could indicate the clan you belong to, your marital status, or even your age. People would use braids as a map to freedom. For instance, the number of plaits worn could indicate how many roads people would take to walk or to meet someone to escape bondage. Regardless of popularity, braids are an inextricable part of black culture. We've carried these styles with us throughout the history, from Africa to southern plantations to northern inner city salons and beyond, even when our natural beauty was not acknowledged. Braids.
What does God want you to do as a Christian? He wants you to devote your entire life to loving Him, placing Him first in your life. And from that place of devotion and love, He wants you to love others and to serve them as you love yourself. This means loving the immigrant. This means loving the homeless panhandler. This means loving the criminal. This means loving your neighbor and your enemy equally. So love the Christian who's sitting in the pew next to you, no matter where they're at in life. Love the person in greater need by extending hospitality, grace, kindness, and love. Love with your actions, because that's what God requires of you. If you truly love God, you will love others well, recognizing that He loves you first.
And welcome back. We're talking about Africa Celebration Day, which will be May 25th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the 1425 Ferguson. That's going to be in Pagedale, Missouri. An Africa Celebration Day, leveraging the power of a united African diaspora. And I guess that word, united African diaspora, is very important, isn't it?
Africa United Diaspora is the word that we're sharing. Mm-hmm. We want to come together as a people. We are in a diaspora, as we defined the diaspora earlier.
Yes, sir.
We are here. And the problem that facing us is not facing you, Bernie. Mm-hmm. It's not facing me, Anani. It's not facing William, whatever, who it is. It's facing our community.
All of us.
So we need to come together and solve the problem that collectively face us.
How can they reach you and each of you? How can they reach you, sir?
Okay. Thank you. We have our website is www.africandiasporacouncil.org, and we can be reached also at Roya at africandiasporacouncil.org. That's my email.
Mm-hmm. What about a phone number?
The phone number is 636-735-1060 or 314-399-7470.
And our toll-free?
And what about you, sir, Mr. Anani?
Our toll-free number is 1-855-232-0007.
And you have a website or email?
My email is Anani at africandiasporacouncil.org.
Okay, so that's one word, Anani at africandiasporacouncil.org.
Correct.
Okay. We have only about 2 minutes left. There's so much we want to talk about. Is there anything that you want to say that I haven't asked you about, either one of you?
We just want to add the organization email also.
Oh, please.
And it's info at African Diaspora Council.
Info at
africandiasporacouncil.org.
.org?
.org.
Okay.
.org.
We'll have to ask Bob to put that up on the board.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And also there's an highlight on the flyer that, joining us as we spark this conversation of bridging the gap between the Africans and the African Americans, so that we can come together. I
want to ask a very personal question. Okay? We all look alike. But when you go to the grocery store, to the hairdresser, barbershop, whatever, and you speak with this accent, do African Americans look at you strangely?
Sometimes.
Do they?
Sometimes.
Yes, they do. And the first thing coming from their mouth is, where are you from? Where are you from?
Yeah.
And you say, I'm from Africa. Where is Africa? Togo, Ghana, Nigeria. And that's the conversation
So,
we have.
by the way, Africa is a continent, not a country.
Right. And we should also become a member and hopefully go to Africa Day celebration, leveraging the power of United African Diaspora. And it's going to be May 25th at 6 to 7:30 p.m. The 3 C's, once again, is connect, counsel, and culture. Could you briefly tell us about that?
Connect. Mm-hmm. We connect our members to resources that is mostly needed by them. We counsel our people, and we counsel and care for the individuals as they learn, overcome, and grow. And the culture, which is very important, is the key recipe of this whole journey, because culture is who we are. We spark financial inclusion and a shared understanding of our culture. That is African Diaspora Council 3 Cs.
Okay,
Connect,
once again,
counsel.
that's going to be the 25th.
This is going to be the Africa Day,
May 25th.
May 25th, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. We look forward to seeing everybody at 1425 Ferguson Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri, in Pagedale.
Okay. Ms. Roya Animashaun. And so Mr. Anani, Michael Kodjo Anani, thank you so very, very much, both of you, for visiting with us today. And please come back and tell us how we're progressing.
Thank you for having us. Pleasure.
And thanks each and every one of you for visiting with us and supporting the New Life Evangelistic Center and the Bernie Hayes Show. Till next time, stay safe and take care of yourselves. See you now.